In this video we will explain Isekai Smartphone, or In Another World with My Smartphone. This anime tells the story about Touya Mochizuki who accidentally dies, and as an apology God is to be reborn in a fantasy world and will grant him one wish that he wants. He chose to keep his smartphone in the next world. How's Touya's adventure in his new world? Let's find out in Another World with My Smartphone. In Another World with My Smartphone tells a young man named Touya Mochizuki, who is sitting opposite an old man who is actually God. God told him that he had died because of an accident caused by the god, which caused him to be killed. As an apology, the god then offered him to live again. He cannot return to his old life and instead, the god will send him to another entirely different world. He then agreed to the god's offer, and asked that he could bring his smartphone with him. By making a few modifications to his self-inedo be adapted to the conditions in the new world, the god then granted his wish. Not only revive and send him to a new world but, the god also increases his physical and cognitive powers, and equips him with magical abilities. When he arrives in a new world, he meets a man who seems interested in his clothes. The man then told him that he wanted to buy his clothes. He was then invited by the man to a clothing store in Reflet, where he was then bought new clothes and given money, because the man managed to sell his clothes at a high price. After that, when he was about to look for an inn, he accidentally saw two girls being harassed by a group of thugs. He also rushed to help them, who turned out to be a pair of twin sisters named Elze and Linze Silhoueska. Elze, the girl with long hair, thanked him for helping them. Knowing that he was looking for an inn, Linze, the short-haired girl, told him they were staying at an inn and took him there. Knowing that Elze and Linze mastered magical powers, he begged them to be taught to use some magical powers. Linze then took out some elemental magic stones and asked him to try them one by one. He can master all elements of magic, which makes Elze and Linze surprised because they have never met someone who can master all elements of magic like him. When Touya, Elze, and Linze were visiting the city of Aminesk, they saw a girl who was being bullied by a group of delinquents. The three of them rushed to save the girl in Yae Kokonoe. Because Touya and the others had helped her, she decided to join their group and head to Touya's capital city, the capital of the Kingdom of Belfast. On the way, when Touya was honing his magic skills, he realized a fierce fight going on in the middle of the forest that they were about to pass. Touya and the others rushed there and found a noble daughter named Leen and her bodyguards being attacked by a gang of bandits. He can easily defeat the bandits. Even though Sushi is fine, her butler is seriously injured and dying. Touya treated the butler with his magic power and made him healthy again. Sushi turns out to be the daughter of the Duke of Belfast, who lives in Alifis. Impressed by the abilities possessed by Touya and the other girls, Sushi and her butler then asked them to escort her and her butler to Alifis. Long story short, Touya and the others finally arrived at Sushi's house and met her father, the Duke of Belfast. The Duke tells him about his wife, who is blind. Because he can cure the Duke's wife of the severe blindness she experienced, Touya then receives a considerable amount of money. Arriving at Alifis, Yae apparently decided to stay in Touya's group and follow every journey with them because, according to her, he is a great magician. Shortly after leaving Sushi's house and continuing their journey, Touya, Elze, Linze, and Yae engaged in a battle with the Dark Knight in ancient city ruins. After defeating the enemy, Touya and the others found an object under the ruins of the old city. However, it suddenly turned into a monster while investigating further, and attacked them. Touya worked with the others to defeat the monsters that could absorb their magic power. After defeating the monster, Touya and the others reported the incident to the Duke of Belfast, and submitted some authentic evidence to support their story. A few days later, Touya is suddenly visited by the Duke of Belfast, who informs him that King Tristwin, the King of Belfast, is dead and is thought to have been poisoned. The Duke, who panicked, then invited Touya to come with him to the palace, so that he could heal the king with his magic power. Arriving at the castle, Touya meets Count Bolsa, who looks suspicious, and his attitude is also very annoying. Everyone seemed relieved and happy when Touya finally managed to heal King Touya then investigates the incident that poisoned the king, and proves that the person who deliberately poisoned the king was Count Bolsa. Impressed by his magical powers and deductive abilities, Yumina falls in love with him. Not long after, Yumina asked her parents to marry Touya. Suddenly this made everyone surprised, including Touya. Because Yumina was still 12 years old, her parents gave her and Touya time to get to know each other better for a few years until she reached the age of old enough to get married. Not only that, but she will also join Touya in his group, whereas the other girls cannonly surrendered to the princess's wishes, who wants to join them, and is now officially dating Touya. Yumina, who mastered summoning magic, then taught Touya the magic until finally, he could summon a divine beast named Kahaku. Kahaku then asked Touya to show his strength. But because he was too overpowered, Kahaku finally collapsed and recognized Touya's greatness as a sorcerer. Kahaku then becomes Touya's pet divine beast who takes the form of a cute white cat every day. Because Touya refused to be knighted by the king. The king then presented him with a magnificent and luxurious house, inviting Yumina, Elze, Linze, Yae, and Kahaku to live with him. One day, the Duke of Belfast came to visit and asked Touya and the others to go to the kingdom of Miss Mead because they had important business to attend to. Long story short, Touya and the others then wished to carry out the mission from the Duchy of Belfast. However, upon arriving at a village outside the Miss Mead kingdom, Touya and others find the village attacked by a ferocious dragon. Touya immediately fights against the dragon while the others try to save the villagers. After successfully slaying the dragon and rescuing the villagers, Touya and the others finally continued their journey and arrived at Burju capital city, the capital of the kingdom of Miss Mead. Knowing that Touya has great magical powers, King Jamuka then challenges him to a fight. Touya accepts the challenge and is very happy to learn that he can discover a new King Jamuka. Touya finally won the fight. That night, while resting in the palace, Touya was visited by a living doll who asked him to follow it to a place, where he then met a girl named Leen. Leen is a 600-year-old fairy who is the tribal chief of the fairy tribe in the kingdom of Mismid. Leen, who knows Touya's magical abilities, then teaches him some new magic, so he can increase his strength. The next day, while taking a walk in the capital, Kahaku told Touya that they were being followed long ago. He can easily spot their stalkers using his new magic, none other than Yumina's servants ordered by the king to keep an eye on her. One day, Touya and the other girls had finished their business in the Miss Mead kingdom and returned to the Belfast kingdom. Leen suddenly came to Touya at his house where she then told him about the ruins in the territory of the country of Ishan, which was none other than the country where he came from. Leen then tells Touya that his magic powers can be combined to make it easier for him. Leen then asked Yae to recall the atmosphere in his hometown, where Touya would connect his thoughts and Yae's thoughts, so that Touya could learn about the atmosphere in Yisham town and teleport there. Because the condition for doing teleportation magic is that he must first know the situation in the location he wants to go to. After getting that image from Yae's mind, Touya and the other girls rushed to Ishan and visited the Kokonoe family's residence. However, Yae's mother told her that her father and her older brother were fighting against enemy upon arrival. Touya, Yae, and the other girls immediately telehelped her family against the enemy forces without thinking. Touya could easily defeat the enemy army alone, but Yae's father informed him that the enemy army leader was currently hiding in the castle. After freeing the prisoners, Touya finally came face to face with the enemy army leader and he was again able to defeat him easily. Because he had helped wipe out all the enemy troops, they then told him about the location of the Naraya ruins that Leen was referring to. Long story short, Touya and the other girls rushed to the location of the Naraya ruins, which turned out to be at the bottom of Thesia. Touya then tries to find the position of Naraya's ruins on the seabed via the magic GPS on his cell phone. After seeing the exact location, Touya rushed to dive there and managed to find the ruins, but he was out of breath and decided to swim back to the surface. Kahaku then told about a way for Touya to breathe underwater, where he apparently had to summon other divine beasts, namely a turtle and a snake. After making a pact with the divine beasts, Touya began his journey to the bottom of Thesia, and managed to reach the ruins of Naraya. After reaching the ruins, Touya found a circle that looked like a magic circle, then he set his magic to unravel the mysteries in Therans. Apparently, he moved to another place because that circle was actually a portal to the Sky Garden of Babylon. He then meets a robot named Francesca, who is in charge of maintaining and managing the park. It then explained that the Sky Garden was created as a hobby by Regina Babylon, or commonly called Dr. Babylon. It is called a Sky Garden because it is flattened in the sky and has 4 Partheno dome, which grants the garden invisibility. The garden itself resembles a botanical garden that was enchanted with durability and sustainability, minimizing its maintenance. Because Touya managed to reach the Sky Garden through a magic portal, he was set as the owner of the Sky Garden on orders from Dr. Babylon. After that, Touya then invited the other girls in Kahaku to visit the Sky Garden. Yumina then asks the other girls about their feelings for Touya, to which they all admitted they have fallen in love with him. Yumina and the others then joined him. Leen and Francesca were discussing how vast and beautiful the Sky Garden was. Francesca then made a contract to confirm Touya as the owner of the Sky Garden of Babylon, which turned out to be done by kissing. Suddenly this made Yumina and the other girls feel very jealous. It didn't stop there. Linze even stole the start from her other friends by expressing her love for Touya and kissing him. After they finally returned to Touya's house, it turned out that he was still thinking about Linze's declaration of love and then her kiss. After that, Yumina came to Touya's room and asked about his feelings toward Linze. Touya then admitted to Yumina that he also really likes Linze. On the other hand, Linze, who was secretly singing invisible magic like Leen, Totter suddenly appeared and seemed very happy to know that Touya also liked her. Yumina then tells them that they can all become Touya's wives because, in their country, a man who has many wives is common. The next day, Touya must face Elze and Yae, who challenges him to a fight, where the two of them are finally able to defeat him by working together. Having defeated Touya, Elze and Yae begged him to take them as wives. Yumina, who heard that, seemed happy and said Touya could marry them at once. However, Touya looks confused and asks the girls some time to think about it, because the truth is that he is not ready to get married right now. On the other hand, Francesca, who is now Touya's servant, says that Dr. Babylon once taught it to him through a sophisticated device made by the doctor. After talking to Dr. Babylon, Touya then went to God to discuss his problems with the girls. Because God also doesn't really understand love, the old man then summons a goddess of love, who then gives advice and wise advice about love to Touya. After enlightenment from the gods, Touya returned to his house and told Yumina and the other girls that he was not ready to get married for now, and asked them to wait until he and they were prepared to build a happy and harmonious relationship household. Yumina and the other girls seemed to understand and accept Touya's decision. The anime ends by showing Francesca telling Leen that Touya will later have 9 wives, which she learns from Dr. Babylon, who can't know the future.